الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم خلق الله السماوات والأرض بالحق إن في ذلك لآية للمؤمنين أتل ما أوحي إليك من الكتاب وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون صدق الله العظيم وبلغنا رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين خلق الله السماوات والأرض بالحق. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has created the skies and the earth بالحق, with the right measure, over rightness, or with perfection, with truth. So the meaning herein is that one thinks and one looks and ponders over the creation of the skies and the earth, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created it. In this there is inna fi dhalika la'ayatan lil mu'minin. In this there is surely a sign for the believers, those who accept that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the skies. There's so many things hidden within the sky for human beings. There's so many systems of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the system of rain, the system of clouds, the system of winds, then the earth which has water and dry land. It has so many things, so many energies hidden within it, so many potentials within it. The water, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the water, how the nature of water, how all those things that we read about, cohesion, adhesion, and the polar nature, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made so many functions that are running because of this. And then it is as if somebody slanders Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a very vulgar statement that somebody says that all of it came into being on its own. No. خَلَقَ اللَّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ. Allah is the one who has created them, and بِالْحَقِّ, He has made it with perfection and truth. Nobody could have imagined. We cannot even understand what's going on. We keep on exploring and discovering new things, and our lives will run out, but we will not be able to fully understand it. أُتْلُ مَا أُوحِيَ إِلَيْكَ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the real address is, the first and foremost is of course the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but really the advice is for all believers that keep on reciting or recite مَا أُوحِيَ إِلَيْكَ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ, whatever is revealed to you of the book. So recitation of the Quran is a command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةِ, and the second thing is establish salah. إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنكَرِ. Allah is saying that surely salah restrains one or prohibits one from shameful and evil acts. So therefore the Prophet ﷺ was told about a person that this person keeps on praying at night, and as soon as it is morning he steals. The Prophet ﷺ said that his salah is very soon going to stop him from that stealing. Hakim al-Ummat has written that it is probable that the Prophet ﷺ knew the special state of that person through wahi. The general principle that we should understand is, because the question that comes to mind is that there's so many people who pray, who are frontline prayers, and still they are very bad in their dealings, and their ways that they deal with people, the interactions that they have with people, they are very bad. So how is it that, or they do evil and vulgar acts or other sins, so how is it that salah prevents people and then they also do these things? So what we should understand is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it, tanha and intiha has difference. In tanha is that salah commands. It is as if a good father or a good mother keeps on telling their children good things. But if the child does not listen, then there is no fault of the father or the mother. So therefore, salah in its nature is such that it prohibits and keeps on commanding and instilling those feelings within people that they stay away from sins. But if a person consciously goes out of their way and keeps on doing sins, then we cannot say that the salah is not working. And the other thing is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةِ. Aqim as-salah means that pray salah with all its requisites, all its etiquettes. So all purity, all wuzu, all etiquettes of salah in jama'at regularly, when somebody does that, then the salah does have that property that it keeps on encouraging a person to do good and staying away from evil. Now, if somebody does not listen, then the burden is on their own self. وَلَذِكْرُ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ, and the remembrance of Allah or the mention of Allah is the greatest of all. And the ulama have written that the reason why it's said here is because the Prophet ﷺ has said that whenever somebody remembers or takes the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah mentions them in a much better creation, among a much better creation. So our remembrance becomes a means of our being remembered by Allah, or our mention with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is why it's the greatest thing. Also, it is said that the reason why salah prevents people from ill deeds is also because because salah also has the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the mention of Allah, the remembrance of Allah causes us to be mentioned with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and with that we are in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and with that mercy Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibits and makes it difficult for us to do sins. Wallahu ya'lamu ma tasna'un, Allah knows what you do. So these things, Hadakibul Ummat Mu'ashim Thani Rahmatullahi alayhi has written that this ayah contains all the principal acts of tasawwuf. The first one is that recitation of the Quran. The second is establishing salah and being very careful about salah and nawafil, particularly after salah, and not only farais but also nawafil as well, and also staying away from fahsha and munkar, and the dhikr of Allah, the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and having this consciousness or this muraqbah that Allah is all knowing, Allah is all seeing, Allah is with me. These things are, all of this ayah, one single ayah is a proof of all the core a'mal of tasawwuf, that this is what a person is told to do to progress in their connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us an understanding. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among the people of Quran, those who are very special and dear to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين آمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.